I was doing this workshop. She goes, yeah, you got to pay yourself first. Oh, I do. Every week I get my nails done. But I was like, that's not what I mean. Okay. I mean, you can do that, but that's variable money. That ain't paying yourself first. Okay. That's just make you feel good about yourself. And, so, but if you look at rich people, what do? They earn it. They save it. They invest it. They give it away. All this before they pay their bills.
Unlock your true potential with the Leadership Community, where we empower men to embrace self-awareness and authenticity. Introducing the Leadership Community, where we believe in helping men become the best version of themselves. It all starts with self-awareness, and we encourage men to take a step back, pause, and reflect on their thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Embrace their authenticity and break free from societal expectations. Here are just a few testimonies from individuals. Leadership helped me develop self-awareness and embrace my authentic self. And now I feel more confident and fulfilled. Question: are you ready to unlock your potential? If so, join the Leadership Community today. Today, guys, on today's podcast, I have a phenomenal guest coming to join us. My man, Curtis May. He's the host of the Practical Wealth Show podcast and the creator and owner of the Practical Wealth Advisories. Curtis has been planning for individuals for more than 35 years, and he is passionate about helping his clients save money and live their very best life right now. The primary focus of the Practical Wealth Advisory is to help individuals and families become financially free by following the principles of wealth creation and that has endured for centuries around the world. Fellas, give a warm welcome to my friend, Curtis May. What's happening, Curtis?
All right. Welcome, leaders out there. So thanks for having me, Dwayne, and I'm excited. Let's get it. Let's do it.
Get it. All right. That's what's up, man. I'm so glad. I'm so excited to have you with us, man. Introduce yourself. Tell the people a little something about you that we particularly may not know. And then I want to highlight some interest from when we met back in July.
Okay. So my name is Curtis May. I'm also the host of, so we met at a podcast convention, so they're all the best. So I'm a podcast host. I have a show called the Practical Wealth Show podcast. My firm is Practical Wealth Solutions. And really, I teach people how money works. And I'm kind of, my nickname is Contrarian. So what you think you heard, Curtis is kind of going to teach you the opposite, as you'll see as we get into this today. But what you may not know, I'm a third generation entrepreneur. My grandfather was in business. My father was in business. We owned a supermarket growing up in North Philly. So I'm from Philadelphia. And we were also in the tavern business. So I grew up in brick and mortar. But one of the things that's I think is kind of odd about me in a good way is that I never got that go to school, get a good education, get a good job talk. My dad always told me you're never making money work for somebody else. So even I really went to college so I could play basketball. So I got my insurance license to start at 20 or 21 as a junior in college. And when I realized the NBA was not looking for 5'11" two guards, so here I am barely on the team at this Division II school. I says, okay, I need a new dream. And so that was 1985, and I've been doing it ever since. And so this is all I've done. And, I thought you majored in business to go into business. So it didn't even occur to me to get a job. I was, I started with people in this industry were making. I was like, oh, I'm home. I wasn't any good at it. As we'll talk about, you got to work at getting good at it. But if the why is big enough, the how don't matter. So I've always been very directed. I've been married for 25 years this year, and I've got 3 lovely daughters, brilliant, beautiful daughters, and beautiful wife who's, you gotta marry up. That's part of the key of your success.
That is so true.
Okay. And that's it. I just work at getting better every day. I'm excited about teaching financial literacy, financial education to everybody, but especially people that are like you and I, because I know my philosophy is I believe that if I don't show it to them, you ain't going to hear it.
No, that's good.
You
No,
ain't going to hear it right.
you're not gonna
Okay,
hear it right. We met
hear
back in July at the podcast, and you know, to be quite honest, man, I got to admit, brother, from the moment we connected, I really felt the strong connection of what you do and how you serve, man. And I was, and of course, we did, I think we even did I like to call it a practice run or a dry run
right,
at the
right.
actual podcast.
At the end.
We did a little short
Because he's
podcast
fancy.
together.
He got the equipment and they pulled out the thing. I was like, oh man, I'm lunching. What is this? I need that in my
Yeah.
life. You gotta tell me the equipment. So when I go places I can meet people. Oh, we do a podcast right here. So that was
The
cool.
podcast, the event in July, man. Tell me, what was probably one or two takeaways from you the most that really helped you move forward in what you do today?
That's a good question. Because you get so much stuff. One of the things I think Deani said that I didn't really view the podcast as a business. So they're really big on monetizing which I'm still not good at, because I didn't view the when I started this, I didn't view the podcast as a profit center. I just viewed it as a way to nurture my clients and to get a message out there. So when I look at I do some business coaching for people to grow their business. I was just teaching another professional before we got on this call about our system, and so there's three. I separate. This will make sense. I separate business into three parts: before, during, and after. And so before, or what I call my before unit, is attract. So don't chase people around, attract them. Myron Golden says, who I'm repping my little hat on here, you've got to have information out there so people who are looking for what you do will find you, right? So attract, capture their information with a lead magnet, whatever, and nurture, right? So the difference is that they teach. I never looked at the podcast as a attract tool. My podcast, I viewed it as nurture. So I positioned it as, hey, every I'm teaching people how money works. I'm teaching them my philosophy. I'm introducing them. So kind of our theme is wealth outside of Wall Street. So I'm trying to introduce to some of the people I interview that, hey, there's other ways to skin this cat outside of equity markets, outside of gambling in the stock market. And so that was a message I kind of would have put out there. And I don't care, black, white. I'm the conduit to get the information where I wanted to go, right? And so that's where I viewed it. So it's grown from that. It's becoming that, but that was not my objective. So now I'm kind of, okay, it can be that. I don't know that I like it. Still don't like it. I'm not sure yet. And
still finding that balance for
yeah, I'm
it.
still finding that balance,
Yeah.
And but that was one of the biggest things, and because they were talking about brand deals, and I don't care about that, because what happened was I need to say what I want to say, so I don't want a sponsor telling me like I may go to FinCon, right, which is a financial conference of financial podcasters, but I got a feeling I won't get any brand deals because a lot of stuff they talk about I don't like. So I gotta find stuff that and I won't what's the word, deviate on my principles, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you will talk about it later. I teach principles based planning, so the service or products has to fit into my principles, because if they don't, we don't do it.
Yeah, no, that's real good. And you say that, but that's exactly what I teach when I'm coaching men is align who you are, your values, your morals with your principles. I like to call them the MVPs, right? When you get in alignment, and don't deviate from that, man, you get better results in your life. You show up a little different in your life, and to your
Right.
point, because I don't rock with everybody because they may not fall into what I
Right.
believe. They don't fall into my principles. I love that, brother.
And so you have to be clear on that, what you believe in, your why. So there's a book, we kind of model stuff after Simon Sinek's Start with Why. So it's
Mm-hmm.
why, then how, then
Mm-hmm.
what. So a lot of people lead with the what, the product, the service. That's last, right? Nobody cares what you know until they know you care. So you start with why, and your why should be helping your person achieve the result they want.
Yeah. Why? And I believe
Yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
read that. Yes, yeah.
So we look at that. That's one of the things, because like most people say, I'm in the financial world. So their goal of the financial institutions is assets under management, commissions, and selling you this thing, right? And so we talk about in our trainings in the study group I'm in, well, how do you measure success? So I measure success as to so my goal, or the why, is I want to teach principles that help our clients become and remain financially free, financial freedom, passive income, greater expenses, right? And that's not the goal of the financial industry. Okay, believe it or not, their goal is not to make you rich. Okay,
Yeah.
and you got to look at, so when you look at what they do and the results of what's happening with what they're doing, you can see that. But there's so much marketing that muddies the waters that you don't know up from down.
Yeah.
And so what if what I'm doing doesn't lead people there? So my why is making you more successful, right? And so, because see, people make more money, but what they don't get, money is a result, right? So you can't chase money to make money. You've got to focus on being of service, solving more problems for more people.
Mm-hmm.
So money is it's a result of creating value in the marketplace, right? And so you got to give the market what they want. And see, so what you've got to learn to rethink your thinking is, well, if you don't make enough money, or you want to make more money, guys, you may not make enough money because you don't have the skills to command more money. So you have to work on your skills, okay? That you can trade your expertise for money, because capitalism is exchange. If I value this product or service you did for me more than I value the money, that's an exchange. Everybody's happy. That's all. Capitalism is an ever expanding system of cooperation among strangers. That's from F.A.I. And so you got to look at that. So every time I want to grow, it's like, how can I create more value for my clients? How can I help them make more money? How can I get them to financial freedom faster? And most of that is not a product discussion, because there's no product in of itself that could win for it. There's no insurance policy. There's no mutual fund that in of itself, annuity, whatever. None of that's going to take you to glory in of itself. Most of that's going to come from in between your ears. And then there are certain tools that will help get you there. But it starts with the principles. In
That's real.
anything, right? Ray Dalio says all successful people operate by principles, right? That way you've got a philosophy. Because Jim Rohn says most people have a money problem, they have a philosophy problem. But it's everything. So you have a bad philosophy, you're going to have bad if your philosophy on food is bad, you're going to be overweight and out of shape. If your philosophy on relationships bad, you're going to have bad relationships. If you've got to, as a leader versus being a boss, right? You're not going to have a successful organization if you don't learn there's certain principles that work no matter what, no matter the industry. And so you've got to, what I try to do is study, winners win, right? And success leaves clues. And you've got to, what do winners do? So you ain't got to reinvent the wheel. It's out there. Open a book. Well, somebody told me one time, if you want to hide something from a black man, where do you put it? In a
In the
book.
book.
So I decide that ain't, you ain't gonna hide nothing from me, right? So I read a book a week, easy.
Yeah, no,
So
that's real good, real good. And I don't even know if you caught this, but I picked up on the three S's. Money is result, but from three S's: skills, serving, and solving problems. I love
I
that.
didn't. Okay, I gotta write that down. That was good stuff.
He said, I didn't. No,
Okay. Three
but
S's. I'm gonna add that into my interview. What are the three S's? What are they?
they,
Skills,
they, they,
solving problems.
they were skills, serving, and solving problems.
Oh, let me
I
write
love
that
it.
down. Okay.
I love it. And I'm gonna utilize it too. Now that
Me too now.
we'll make that together, right? So no, phenomenal, man. This is real good. So tell me more. I mean, You almost seem like the wizard right now. And I heard you say this earlier, and that was, I know you were looking to grow your organization, bring some people in, and you said, "But I need some true believers."
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about true believers, and how does that align with these principles you discuss in the financial planning?
So I've decided that you can't have success without successors, and they're, so I'm starting to build. I'm not trying to be like a multi-level thing, but I want to build an agency. But what I want to do is I want to create 100,000 economically independent people,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So I want a big enough why that I know that Curtis can't accomplish by himself.
yeah.
Okay, so now need to duplicate myself through teaching people, some people, if they qualify, to come onto our team. So mostly what I find the best people are my ambitious clients, clients I know, we've got a relationship, I know their situation, I know their family, and so they're starting to ask me, well, I want to learn how to do what you do. Or I say, I think you'd be good at doing what I do. So it's like, okay, so when I say a true believer, they're already practitioners of what we teach, right? So one of the things that I believe is that you have to be a master copy
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
what you're, owning what you talk to your clients about, eating your own cooking, making sure. I told the guy I was just talking to, my number one goal is that you and your family become financially free, right? Doing what we're talking about. And the only thing I'm going to do is help you accelerate your revenue,
Yeah,
right? Is by showing you a better marketing system and how to see more people, but so you can make more. So we teach something called, it is a book that we're building our business around. It's called Money for Life, How to Thrive in Good Times and Bad. So I know the author are actually in the process of rewriting it and bringing it back out, right? And so it's how I teach something called infinite banking, what you would hear out there in the interwebs called infinite banking. And so the flow is earn money or get money, bank it, save it somewhere that allows you to be the bank, borrow it or borrow against it, spend it, repay it, right? So I teach a whole economic system within that. And so my true believers have been doing that, and they're very successful with that. So it's not like a sale. It's like, let me show you what I've been doing. I've got people that have enough money through doing that process where they don't even, if they don't want to, don't need to use third party banks, because we've saved up enough money in their banking system that if they see a deal, they can borrow against this using insurance. They borrow against insurance, they can buy the asset, do the deal, cash out, pay the policy loan back off, and do it again, right? And so all I do is teach them how to save so they can do that, and then recapture the profits they were giving to Bank of America or to the hard money guys. So now you're making your overall, if you can control the financing, everything you do becomes more efficient. And
They,
it's like flying a plane with a tailwind, perpetual tailwind.
that's good. They have a name for that. What do they actually call that?
They call it it's bank, it's different. The originator of it, R. Nelson Nash. So if is uh the Nelson Nash Institute, or Becoming Your Own Banker is the name of the book,
Okay.
or Infinite Banking,
Yeah.
right? Some people call it Bank on Yourself.
Hmm.
We may internally call it like the private reserve, but it's using properly structured dividend paying whole life, because there's some charlatans out there talking about it using another product called Universal Life. So that's a whole other show, but if they're telling you that, just run the other way. Just trust me.
No,
Okay.
that's good. So that's cash flow mapping there, which you just gave those principles there that you look for in the believer, that they
That's
understand.
actually not cash flow mapping. That's a
Oh,
separate topic. Yeah, that's not.
oh,
That's
because I heard
just that's banking. That's
that's
that's the
banking.
So what I teach is principles. So here's my framework. Principles drive strategy, and strategy drives tactics.
Hmm.
Okay. So there's 5 principles and 3 rules of investors. Really 8 principles.
To be about cash flow mapping.
Cash flow mapping is kind of like the anti-budget, right? So I'm not a big fan of budget. I mean, I think you need to control your cash flow, but what you want to be able to do is our tagline, and there's a little talk I give around the process, is telling your money where to go instead of asking where it went. All right. And
That's
so,
good.
when money hits your, so what we do is budgeting is kind of like driving your car, but you're looking through the rearview mirror. Right. And so you're trying to figure out where you're going by looking at the past. And so budgets, P&L statements, if you're in business, they're looking at last month, right? And it's good to know that, but if what I want people to do and what we teach people to do is a system of, creating multiple accounts. I'll give you a hint. So if you ever read two things, what's the book called? Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. So I've kind of adapted that, but I do it on the personal and the business side where you set up accounts. And then so what happens is if you get money, you got to say, okay, so instead of budgeting and let's just go with your tendencies. So I'll help them create like the first thing that we do. So that if you look at Richest Man in Babylon, let's start with that. The first lesson is part of all you earn is yours to keep. Okay. So you must pay yourself first. Right. So here, let me give you all a tactical thing that will change your life. So if you, I'm going to use a round number. So let's say y'all make 100. So I want people to save 10, 15, or 20% of their before tax income, right?
Okay.
So if somebody's making
$100.
100,000, I want them to save 15. So
Okay.
what we do, but savings has to be automatic and systematic. It's not a willpower thing. So what most people do, their budget, they'll say, well, okay, I got to pay my bills, Curtis, and if I have any money left over, I'm going to save it. Okay. So if you think that way, you're going to be poor. Okay. Because there ain't no extra money, right?
Well,
Saving is a decision.
everybody think that way. I mean,
Y'all think that way. Well, rich people don't think that way.
Well, right.
And so, but yeah, I mean, but so the thing, and I don't care. Let me just go a little bit granular on this because I want you to get this. I don't care what you make. I don't care if you work at damn McDonald's. You can still do that. That's because it's a decision. Okay, if you make $100, can you save $10 or $15 and live on 85? Yes, you can. Okay, and so if you can't control your cash flow, somebody will always control you, right? So you gotta be able to control the money that comes into what we like to call your personal economy. And so that's what that mapping is.
Saving is automatic. It must be systematic.
Saving must be automatic. So what you do is you set up, let's say you got a job, right? So it's different for business owners. You kind of have to do it manually. You create a separate account. So this is one of the 4 accounts we teach people to set up. So you have an income account that all your money comes into. Then you have a wealth capture account. Okay. That's just a checking account or a savings account. But what you do is you can go to HR and you can say, okay, I want X amount. You calculate what that. So if it's 15,000, it's like, what is it? 872 a pay, right? Or whatever. I don't care what it is. I don't care what number you use. I just care that you start. Because what you got to do is you got to exercise that pay yourself first muscle so that you believe you can do it and you're not going to starve today. You got to go back into it. That's all right. You're starting it. So if you do that, so here's the homework. Open up a wealth capture account and designate, I don't care if it's $100 a pay, you're going to pay yourself first. That's what it means to pay yourself first. Okay. Then the second account that we teach people to set up, this is cash flow mapping, is you've got certain fixed bills, right? So you've got certain static bills that are predictable in both timing and amount. So now you're going to calculate what your debt, that's your mortgage, that's your car payment, that's cell phone bills, that's your subscriptions, and you're going to have, you got to figure out what your life costs, and then you got to have a separate account that you pay bills on. So no debit card associated with that. You just got it set up so you can put your bills either on auto pay or bill pay, but you pay manually, but it's coming out of this account. So you know exactly how much you need to put away to cover your expenses. And then the third account is what I call your variable account. Okay. Because when people make money and say, well, I don't know where my money goes, that's because they are, and worse yet, they're putting on a credit card because they're spending money they don't have, which when you have to pay the bill back, that is adding to your fixed account because now you have to pay that payment plus the interest. So now you're like bigging a bigger millstone around your neck because you're always growing your expenses, right? So you've got to say, you got to put a governor on your account, right? So if
I like
you
that.
save 15, 20%, I don't care what you do the rest of it, honestly. But if you do it right, you say, all right, listen, I got this much to savings. So if you're doing 10%, 15, 20%, you've done what you're supposed to do. So you're not going to get wealthy saving. Saving is the start of velocity because you got to have capital, right? But you got to, here's the fundamentals. You've got to make money. You got to pay yourself first, and you got to spend less than you make. Okay. In The Richest Man in Babylon, the guy says, Arcad in the book, he says, listen, if you look at you're 40 years old and your account you don't have any money in your account, you've made millions of dollars. Okay. I take people to exercise, show how much money you've made over your working lifetime. And in the book, he says, if you have not saved more or accumulated more than a bare existence since we were youth, it's because you either don't know the laws of wealth accumulation or you have failed to observe them.
Yeah.
It's one of those two things, right? And so that's we talk about principle-less planning. That's a principle. Spend less than you make. Pay yourself first.
This almost sounds to me, and I think the only reason it resonates right now is because I'm in entrepreneurship. You have to kind of have these different accounts in your business so you can maintain cash flow, so the business can stay afloat. And so I'm gathering these principles that you're teaching are the same that apply in entrepreneurship in your personal life.
Yeah, actually, I show people because they're separate, right? So you have to separate church and state. So I teach a version of this. What I do is a little bit different. Is I do this on the business side. I say, okay, look, here are the 4 accounts you need for your business, and now you got to pay yourself, and which is separate from taking profits, saving, right? Because you create an account called owner's pay. You got to pay yourself for working in the business. That's what most people don't do. They just take enough out to cover whatever expenses. They're paying personal expenses. They don't separate church and state, messes up their taxes. You don't really have is the business working? You don't know because you got it all commingled, right? And
Wow.
so you got to separate that. And then I show them how to, separate the two. So the first thing is, before we get into all the other stuff, the principles is you gotta learn how to save money. You've got to get organized with your cash flow, and you got to say, okay, look, I got paid, and I'm going to put 10 or 15% over here. Out of that dollar, I'm going to save 10 to 15 cents. My lifestyle costs 40%, and then my variables like gas, eating out, shopping. I don't care if you do that stuff, but you need to set aside the money, and there's your budget for that stuff. I don't care what you do with it. And if you put on a credit card to get the points, fine. You just got paid off at the end of the month. You can't carry debt.
Yeah, yeah. And I can see how one early entrepreneurs can really uh, go out of business. One, because they haven't led themselves well in their personal finances. From this structure that you presented today, and this is really good. So tell me, how does the cash flow mapping? It almost sounds similar to telling your money where to go. Is that something?
That is it. That's the
That's the same thing.
tagline for that strategy. So
Okay.
we have a whole process software that, like, the first thing that we do if I meet with somebody, we gotta figure out where your money's going, what's coming in, what's going out, because you can't. People say, "Oh, I want to invest." Investing is like, if there's 5 things you should be doing, investing is number 5. That ain't even on the table yet. Okay, you think you don't because and
That's
so
that's the first thing we want to do, though. We want to
I
invest.
know, and that's wrong. And then what they think is investing is not investing. So because what happens is you go to work, you get a 401k, and you got to opt out. So they automatically put in 3.5% of your pay, and you're all right. Let's save for retirement through your 401k. You're not saving.
Mm,
Saving. Let me define saving: safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed. That so savings have no risk. So all your money in the qualified plan is at risk. So it's one, you got to understand terminology, and this I told you I'm gonna step on some toes. So because what happens is, so if you heard of Warren Buffett,
yeah.
right? So Warren Buffett, you ever heard of Benjamin Graham?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's Warren Buffett's mentor. For y'all that haven't looked at it, look up the book, The Intelligent Investor, right? Benjamin Graham came out in like 48 or something like that. But they've updated a few times. But the first chapter in the book is investing versus speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I go over this with people because what you invest means to cover fully, you know, and so you got to know it. And so what people are doing is he said, listen, let me define it. And so here's how the richest man in the world defines an investment, something you put your capital into, because this is what men taught him, where you have safety of principal, meaning you put in 10,000 or 20,000. Worst case, how much should you get back if your principal's safe?
If it's what, depending on if it's 100,000,
Yeah,
250,000.
well, yeah. So if let's say it's 10,000, you're supposed
Yeah,
to worst case get back your 10,000. That's
$1,000.
safety of
Right.
principal,
Yeah.
right? And you have a reasonable opportunity to make a profit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so if he says if it doesn't fit that definition, you are speculating
Mm.
or gambling. Okay. So I have no problem with you speculating if you know you're speculating and it's not with 95% of your money because you're chasing rates of return, hoping some fund manager is really smart. So that's mistake number one. You know, most wealth is lost by how people manage cash flow. So that's the first part. I need to get your cash flow under control because you're losing money because you just don't have, you're out of control. You don't know where your money's going. All right. Then you need to understand the difference between saving and investing. And most of y'all, look, I don't even want you to, you can't even talk to me about investing until you have at least 90 days of your income saved in cash.
Mm.
And really, I want 6 to 12 months.
Wow.
But you don't have to wait that long. But I definitely want 90, because if you don't have any money, you can't afford to take any losses.
That's good. That's real good. Now, it raised a question for me too when you're talking about this money, and I'm thinking about just the standard person, right? The average person. Let me say it that way. But you got to have a wealth capture account. You need to have a
Mhm.
fixed bill.
So by the way, I'm talking to the average person. So if y'all listen to this, I'm talking to you. You make 40 grand a year,
Yeah,
I'm talking to you. You make 200 grand a year, I'm talking to you. So to be clear, this is block and tackle. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah, yeah.
basics. Master the basics.
It's fixed bill, and then it's the variable account. What do you say to
Yeah.
the individuals that's like who just likes to spend though? And I know there has to be a discipline or a decision to make, but I'm guilty of this. I'll say that, and that is I like to have something in my pocket for
Mhm.
just in case.
Mhm.
Talk to me about that? Is that
That's fine.
okay?
You know, that's you it doesn't matter. It's just like, all right, if that's what you want to have, that's part of your variable account. You like, some people feel good. There's coaches that teach, you need to up your money consciousness by carrying a little bit more cash, right? And carrying, $400 or $500 just because you feel it makes you feel good about yourself having your pocket. Okay. Just don't come back with the pocket empty, right? You should try to go out and have more money in the pocket before when you come back home than you had when you started, right? Don't go spend it. But if you don't have it convenient, you won't spend it.
Mm,
So I've always been that way. But if so it's a decision. So you want to be rich? Do you want to be poor? Or do you want to be middle class?
mm,
Okay. See, most people don't have a money problem; they have a philosophy problem, right? So I said this before. So
okay.
it's four things when money hits your personal economy, you get paid, it hits your accounts. You've got four choices to do with that dollar. You can spend it, you can save it, you can invest it, or you can give it away. Tithing, charity, that kind of stuff, give it away. And so the order in which you see that in your mind and in your actions, because if I look at your bank account, I can tell you what your philosophy is. Okay. And so if you think, most people think what? Spend first. You're Kurt, you understand, I gotta pay my bills. I gotta buy myself something nice. I told this girl one time I was doing this workshop. She goes, yeah, you gotta pay yourself first. Oh, I do. Every week I get my nails done. I was like, that's not what I mean. Okay. I mean, you can do that, but that's variable money. That ain't paying yourself first. Okay. That's just make you feel good about yourself. And So, but if you look at rich people, what do? They earn it, they save it, they invest it, they give it away, all this before they pay their bills.
Hmm.
And you say, well, they're rich, they can do that. They can do that. They're rich because they do that, because their philosophy, see, because you can't invest until you save, right? Because you're saving. Why? So that you have capital, so that you can buy or build assets, right? So if you spend it all, you don't have any capital to invest, unless you decide that I've got to spend, we call it Parkinson's law. See, because what people do is they make more money and then they spend it, right? Because nature doesn't like a vacuum. So Parkinson's law says expenses rise to meet income. That's why you go back to school and you get a raise, or you'll pay a car off, and your car payment was $500 a month. And if you don't like capture that $500 and start saving it, if I saw you 3 months later, you couldn't find it because you already absorbed it in your budget. And because it's going to go somewhere. It's not like you're just going to automatically in the savings unless you tell it to go to savings by immediately taking that $400 or $500 and moving it into your wealth capture account, right? And you got to capture it and make it a bill, but you're the bill that gets paid first.
I'm curious to know. Okay, I make this money. I save. I save $10,000. What I do next with that wealth capture account?
Well, it
What's
depends on your income. Nothing. You ain't got enough money yet. So if you make $5,000 a month, you're still short.
you still so where do I need to be? Where's the is there a
You got
cap?
it. So here let's go into the principles, and you'll see where
All right, good.
all
Yeah.
right. So here are the 5 principles of personal finance that we teach, and we do it on we take people through a process where we go into that and we break it down. And so first step 1 is save, right? Save what? Save 15% or more of your gross income. Step 2 is protect. So before investing, you've got to protect the kingdom that you're building, right? Because what could happen to you? You could die, you could get sick, you could get sued, you could become disabled, you could have a fire. So that's protection, that's insurance, that's asset protection, that's trust, that's entities. So that comes before investing, right? Saving, protecting, legacy, right? So we teach you got to build the legacy, which is mostly with life insurance, full replacement of assets at death, guaranteed. Guaranteed is why I don't use, for the all our research and insurance. That's why I don't use universal life, because there ain't nothing guaranteed. The 4th principle, which comes from principle 1, is saving. So when I'm talking about saving, I want 6 to 12 months of your income in cash. Now, in cash equivalent. So we show people where to store it, but and that's not going to happen overnight. That might take you 3 years to do that. Okay. But you've got to see the number one problem I see, Dwayne, is people they want microwave success, and they just don't have the patience. They just, because the philosophy about money is be, then do, then have. So you have to become an investor,
Mm,
right? People don't want to become, because become is work, right? So
yeah.
we just tell me what to do so I can have. So we're focused on the have,
Right.
but you have to be first,
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so what happens? So I'm focused on helping my clients be a real investor, right? And so the 6 to 12 months. So the first 90 days, back to your question, is your emergency fund, and then to me, everything above that is your opportunity fund. And you have capital. So now you're looking for things that you like, that you understand, where you can deploy your capital, with the emphasis on cash flow of buying assets that send you a check, buying assets, to use a rich dad terminology. And there's 4 asset classes: business, real estate, paper, and commodities, right? And see, so most people gravitate towards what I call paper equities, but the emphasis on equities is investing for capital gains. You buy it low, you hope it goes high, and hope it doesn't come back. So that's gambling. You can't control any of that stuff,
Yeah.
right? I got a client that he called me up, Curse, I got an ATM machine. He got 8 ATM machines over about 18 months, each of them generating $500 or $600 a month. And they cost about $2,000, $2,500, right? And so he's making as much as people make on a rental property. that they might spend $150,000 on. He's bought it with $2,500 from where'd that money come from? The money I taught him to save.
Yeah.
Then he started buying notes. Okay, because a lot of people think, I got to buy real estate. Well, you can buy the mortgage at a discount. So you see, that's what I mean. We talk about all that on our show, but you got to have the capital. So when the opportunity presents itself, you either have money or access to money, other people's money, good debt, right? So that you can pull the trigger. And the asset you buy should make more money than the payment you got to make. And that spread is your profit, right? So you got to understand how money works. And that's kind of what I teach
I think
people.
I got save, protect, legacy, 6 to 12 months in cash.
Liquidity, right? 6 months of cash. And the fifth one, I'm sorry, is velocity, right?
Velocity.
So velocity, we call it the velocity method over the accumulation theory, right? And so the accumulation theory is what's taught, is what people think is personal finance. Buy and hold, dollar cost average, get out of debt, buy term investor difference, max out your 401k. All that's the accumulation theory based on rates of return in the S&P and some smart fund manager. But if you look at wealthy people, read some biographies, right? What do they want? They focus on velocity of money, right? So if you look at Mr. Wonderful, Mr. on Shark Tank, who goes, look, if I give you this 100,000 or this $500,000, what do they want to know? How soon am I getting my money back? Now, does he still have interest in that deal? Yes, but if you get all your money back out, what's your risk? Zero, right? Because you got your money. And so you can do what? Put it in another deal and get that back and put it in another deal. So in real estate, that's velocity, right? In the real estate, that's the Burr method, right? I spoke last March at the Laundromat Millionaire Conference. So in velocity in that business, they want bigger, more efficient machines so they can drive faster, do bigger loads, and get people out, in and out of the mat faster, right? Hairstylist, how many heads can you turn over a day? All that's velocity of money. So that's not that's just an economic principle. Money like speed. Okay. And then the also in the velocity method, we want to focus on cash flow. So you want to buy assets. See, if you want to become financially free, you've got to have, passive or asset-based income greater than your expenses, right? So as you're building your foundation, you've got to look for, you got to become, right? So you got to educate yourself on what's out there, which is work, which most people don't want to do it. And then, see, because you guys, I tell people, look, how do we get in touch with you? We say, well, if you don't want to think and be in control of your money, because wealthy people want control, don't call me, because I can't help you, because you're just going to frustrate you and I ain't got time, right?
Right.
You've got to want, the people that find me, they want liquidity, use control of their capital, because they know they can make their business, their real estate investments make more money than the S&P. So they already know that. So all I'm going to do is help them lean into what they already believe in. So if you believe that, we can talk, right? But so the thing is, velocity, cash flow, leverage, using debt, good debt, because rich people use debt as money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they buy permanent insurance strategy. That way they store their cash and, dividend paying whole life. So that's that. Now that's what I call corporate finance. That's from this is his name book. Garrett Gurness's book is called, he's got a book called Killing Sacred Cows and What Would the Rockefellers Do? This is the philosophy of people with money. But the funny thing is, he calls it corporate finance. Those strategies work in personal finance. And they're safer. You've got more control. So all I do is I'm taking these business financial strategies, and I'm helping my clients apply them to personal finance.
Yeah, I see that. I see the outline. I definitely see the outline. I like what you said. Money like speed. We often hear the term that money follows movement, right? Something similar. I want you to close out with this, because I love what you said here. He said you have to be, and you teach your clients to be real investors. I believe that for you to do or accomplish anything in life, whatever that goal, whatever that dream and vision is for your life, that you must become what you see or desire to be. Can you elaborate some more in as far as be the real investor, real estate real?
Yeah, so I think that uh so one of the things that we teach is the 3 rules of investing, right? So rule number 1, invest in what you know. Okay, or invest in knowing. That's why the first investment you should make is in your between your 2 ears, right? And invest in what you know or knowing. And so it goes back to what's your number 1 asset? You. So what do you invest in? Your mindset, your skill set. Skills is what make money, and your network. Who do you know? Who knows you, right? So the second rule is invest in what you could control. So as you study people, they want control. They don't want to just give it some fund manager and hope 30 years that they were right and you have this big pile of money. Because what you'll find is the average person, I was looking at some report, the average 60-year-old has less than 150,000 in their 401k.
Oh wow.
Some Vanguard report or like Northwest Mutual. I saw it, so I should have it out when I say this, but I just read it a couple of weeks ago and I put it in my Evernote so I could go back to it. But so what you're being taught is not working. Okay, that just tells me this is the result of all of this knowledge. Very few people have a lot of money. And then the money that they have don't buy what it bought because of inflation, because the purchasing power of the dollar is going down. So you're chasing returns with a volatile, fluctuating stock market. You're saving a monetary unit called a dollar that the longer you hold it, the less it buys. And then you can't control the taxes. So when you pull it out, the taxes could probably go up. I mean, we're playing a losing game, okay? And you don't know it, okay? Now, so the second rule is you want control. So can you control it? Can you influence the outcome? Does it cash flow? That's the second rule of investing. And the third rule is don't chase returns. See, most people what's the rate of return? That's again, when you say that, you've just falling back into the accumulation theory. That's accumulation theory language, right? And so you got to change your philosophy, and then how do you become a real investor? So like the whole Rich Dad thing, especially the first 4 books and the latest one, Fake, you get to see. So the third book is Rich Dad's Guide to Investing, and he talks about the BI triangle, right? So when you look at a business, it's a triangle. It's because a business is a series of systems, right? So it's mission at the bottom, the base. It's team. Investing is a team sport, and it's, to your point, leadership is the outside, because you have to lead your wealth. You got to organize your team. They were going to give you advice, but you're the head coach, right? Like I told people, look, you're the owner of the team. I'm the head coach, right? So, and the quarterback, right? So, but your advisors work for you, but you've got to have a mission, a vision of where you want to go. And then that allows you to align your resources. That word leadership. And so part of becoming is being a leader, learning how to analyze deals, learning how money works, learning how to, deciding, I like my favorite out of the 4 asset classes, my favorite is business because I'm my father's son, right? But I think the purpose of business, which is one purpose of business is buy real estate, right? So take that earned income, use debt to buy a real asset. And so what that does, by doing that, that's why rich people don't pay taxes, because our tax system, hear me guys, is designed for landowners and business owners. So when you
Yeah.
hear Trump or Bezos don't pay taxes, because they're following the law. You don't know the law,
Yeah.
okay?
I,
And you think they're doing something wrong.
I,
That's why you're broke.
I think who was it? I think it was Mitt Romney. I might have the name wrong, but made $100 million off an investment tax free. Did you?
Yeah, because he was the founder and the president of Bain Capital, which is a private equity firm that buys businesses. And so he bought a lot of stuff inside his Roth IRA. And he
Yeah.
had a self-directed Roth IRA.
Yeah.
And so he's building it. So it's a lot. Y'all just don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
now here's the other thing. I remember on the debate, right? So it was him, it was President Obama, and it was Biden, right? So Now, Ronnie is making more I saw. So they gave out his giving. So he gave away, and he actually gave away more than that, but he lowered it. So he gave like 13, 15%, 20% of his income. Why? Because he's Mormon. His faith dictates that you tithe, right? So he was more than tithing. So President Obama gave away, like, don't get me wrong, 8 or 10%. So he gave money away. Biden gave away less, like 1% of his income, right? So he's perfectly happy to give away other people's money, but he
Not
ain't
his own.
giving away his own money, right?
Yeah.
And see, so what happened again, what you do with your money tells me the type of person that
Banks take your money and spend it. So every $100,000 they take $10,000, or every $100,000 they take $10,000, put it in the bank, and they take the rest and invest it. Then and then
so they don't invest it, they loan it out.
Loan it out. That's
right?
what I meant.
So
yeah.
they loan it out, and so they're making money. So they might pay you 1%, and let's say they're getting 5% by loaning you out money on the mortgage. So you say, oh, big deal, Curtis. That's only 5% spread. No, that is a 600% markup on your money.
Yeah.
So that's
that they make
off of using your money to make it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they store their money that they keep to run the banking function in life insurance policies. See, people don't even understand the game, right? And so, but the thing is, what I teach is you can control that function in your life, because 35 cents for every dollar you make is leaving your household in the form of debt to others. But what happens is you're chasing returns, but you give away 35% to debt, you give away 35% or more to taxes, and you're running around, you're not even saving 10% of your income, and you're trying to make that 10%, that 5%, 10% you're saving do backflips. Personal economy is set up. You've been taught when money hits your personal economy, it's set up to serve everybody but you.
Yeah.
Right? So what I try to help people do is deconstruct their personal economy, take it apart, put it back together so that it serves you primarily first, right? And so it's just, you just got to change how you think. You got to change your paradigm about what you've been taught. You got to unlearn most of the stuff you think is structured. You get taught enough to play the money game, but you don't know how to win it. So what you've been taught is set up to transfer your wealth to the other entities.
Yeah, that's real good. Change your philosophy, man. Make that shift in your mental thinking, man. I love it. Curtis, this was phenomenal, man. Listen, tell the people how they can get hold of you, where they can find you at, how they can connect with and grow with you, brother.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you, for your show notes, I have a special gift that with a free report, but you can get it directly if you text Be the Bank, all one word, all caps, to 55444, and we'll get that report out to you. But you can listen to so check out my show, so you can, what I call, find out more of the madness that is Curtis. Okay, my contrarian thoughts. And because I'm a financial educator, so I want you to get that, or a YouTube channel. You can go to, and I'll send to you for your notes, practicalwealth.net, practicalwealthsolutions.net. You can go to our website. So all of our contacts, articles, guest appearances, a way to connect with me. If you're on IG, you can go to my link tree in there. And if you'd like to really get into what we're doing, I'll offer a complimentary consultation. We got 30 minutes, and we can talk about what's ever on your mind. See some homework, and then we'll talk about what's ever on your mind and see if we're a good fit to work together, if I can help you.
Phenomenal, man. This has been amazing. Great stuff. Guys, listen, I'm going to encourage you, whatever you do, reach out to Curtis, especially if you're looking to grow in this area in your life financially, right? Gravitate to this place of changing your philosophy. That's what Curtis May says. Check out the Practical Wealth Show podcast. Awesome. Man, this has been phenomenal. This is the Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Roberts. As you always hear me say, your success is in your hands. Fellas, go have an amazing day with purpose. God bless.